Hello everyone, this is Santa Clara County Supervisor Ken Yeager, and I'm talking with you today from my office here at the county building at 70 West Heading. We are about to do our 7th episode of Getting to Know Your County. A lot of people just don't know what county government does, and so we're trying to educate everybody, and also introducing people who work for the county so that they can talk a little bit about what they do. And today it's my great pleasure to have David Campos here with me. He's a Deputy County Executive, and he served for 2 terms on the San Francisco Board of Supervisors and worked as a Deputy City Attorney in San Francisco and many other jobs as well. But now you've come to Santa Clara County, and I think that's great. Welcome.
Thank you, Supervisor Yeager. I'm so thrilled to be a part of Santa Clara County government. I think that sometimes people in San Francisco think that the world revolves around San Francisco, and what I've realized about Santa Clara County is that Santa Clara County is leading the way on so many issues, and a lot of it is because of the work you've done. And as a queer man, I'm just so thrilled and proud to see all the things that are happening within the LGBT community in Santa Clara County. And the county government is really supportive of that because of your efforts.
Well, thank you for saying so. It's been great, and of course, we've learned what San Francisco has done, and I think hopefully San Francisco has learned about some of the things that we have done. But you could have obviously taken any job anywhere in the country. Any particular reason why Santa Clara County was calling you out?
2 things. One, I really believe that local government is where the exciting things that are happening, especially now with the Trump presidency. I think it's at the county, local level where things can happen. And in terms of who is doing creative, innovative work, you're not going to find anyone who's doing more than Santa Clara County right now. Whether it's the issue of immigration, whether it's the issue of healthcare, whether it's the issue of LGBT rights, the issue of housing. I mean, no one is doing more than Santa Clara. So when the opportunity to be a part of this came up, I jumped at that opportunity because, why not be part of something where you have someone that's leading the way, not just for the region of Santa Clara is, but actually for the rest of the country. Take the issue of housing. You passed a $950 million housing bond. That's more money than any other jurisdiction is spending anywhere in the state, anywhere in the country. Really.
Yeah, no, you're right. And another issue as well is jail reform and the issues we're doing there. So maybe if you could talk a little bit about what a deputy county executive does, just to let people sort of know what responsibilities you have.
Well, Santa Clara County, as you know, has 2 million people population. You have 15 different cities, and there are county functions that are really critical to the lives of people. Sometimes people don't think about the county, and they immediately think about a city. But in Santa Clara, it's the county that's actually leading the way on a number of things. So healthcare is a big responsibility that counties have, and that's an area where Santa Clara has really been leading the way for a number of years. You talked about the jails and their reform efforts, but I want to talk about something that I actually have been charged with overseeing, which is housing and the implementation of the 2016 Measure A, which is $950 million. And what we're seeing there is the county of Santa Clara saying something that, quite frankly, I haven't heard any other jurisdiction say, which is we're going to try to end homelessness in Santa Clara County. And the $950 million that's going to be spent will lead to the building of close to 5,000 units of supportive housing. And so I'm very excited about that. But it's not just that. You have issues, immigration. So right now you see an attack on immigrants by the Trump administration. In Santa Clara, with San Francisco, were the first jurisdictions to sue the Trump administration. And Santa Clara was unique because not only did we sue, but we actually sought a preliminary injunction against the Trump administration, which we received. And in the process, what Santa Clara did was not only protect its immigrant population, but it protected its funding, close to $2 billion worth of funding. But beyond that, it protected general principles of federalism. In a way, I think Santa Clara, San Francisco were fighting for the rights of other jurisdictions, saying, the federal government should not have the right to tell a jurisdiction like Santa Clara, we want you to become an arm of immigration. And you can't threaten to, take away our funding just because we refuse to do your bidding. That's a very powerful statement and a big victory for not just Santa Clara, but everyone.
And the fact that we, of course, were the lead complainant on it, and our attorneys then were in the court arguing that case. Was very exciting.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So another responsibility that you have is we have 4 smaller offices sort of dealing with social and cultural issues. We have the Office of LGBT Affairs, Immigration Relations, Cultural Competency, and Women's Policy. Could you sort of talk about those and how unique are they that we really have dedicated staff and resources dealing with some of those very important issues in our community?
It's very innovative, and the fact that Santa Clara has those 4 offices is something that we should be very proud of. The Office of Women's Policy has been in place for more than 20 years actually, and then you created, actually you yourself, because of your efforts, the first of its kind Office of LGBTQ Affairs. No other government has done that, and what's happening in Santa Clara is you have a recognition of the importance of these communities, these diverse communities for the county. But what we're doing with these offices is we're recognizing the intersection of issues. So you can't talk about women's issues without talking about LGBT issues. At the same time, you can't talk about those issues without talking about immigration. So there is an interconnection. So the Office of Women's Policy, the Office of Cultural Competency, the Office of Immigrant Relations, and the Office of LGBTQ Affairs are working together, especially in the era of Donald Trump, to protect the rights of these diverse communities. And not only are we protecting the rights of these communities, but in so doing, we're actually creating precedents for the other parts of the country to follow. So it's a very exciting time.
Yeah.
There is actually a comprehensive work plan that is being created that will lay out the strategies that these offices will be following to protect the rights of these individuals in the era of Donald Trump. But beyond Donald Trump, to create a proactive, positive agenda that will ensure that women in Santa Clara can feel protected. But that when we talk about women, it's not just your typical definition, but it's also transgender women. That we talked about sexual orientation, gender identity, in a way that I think that no other jurisdiction is really doing.
And immigrant status as well. Many of these women might need services from the county. It might be issues at home, and all of a sudden now we're worried that they won't go to the government because of fear of the federal government deporting them. So
well, right.
It just is such a perfect blend of everybody sort of working together.
Absolutely, and Santa Clara is doing something really significant, which is it's making an investment to provide legal representation to these individuals.
Yeah.
Because it's not enough to just sue the federal government. It's also about empowering each one of these individuals, and I think that's very significant. It really goes to show you the commitment that Santa Clara is making to protecting the rights of these diverse communities.
Right. Well, as long as we're talking about immigration, you have a fascinating story.
Sure.
With you as an individual and your family background. Maybe you could just briefly
Sure.
talk about that.
Well, I always tell people that I had to come out twice, right? I came out as a gay man, and then I came out as a formerly undocumented person. So I came to this country when I was a kid. I was 14. We came here from Guatemala, my native country. And, we came here in search of a better life, and we came here undocumented. And for many years, as a young person, I lived as an undocumented person. And so I know the challenges that come with being undocumented. In that sense, there is a connection with the idea of being, gay, because, you're in the class of, for many of us, right? And I think that those perspectives give me sort of an interesting outlook to in terms of how I see the world, because there's always a connection with people who have needs, who are struggling, and I think it's really a testament to the greatness of this country that someone like me can be in this position, and a testament to how amazing a place Santa Clara County is, that they would take a chance with someone like me, and I'm very proud of that, and I'm very proud of the fact that it's not just that Santa Clara tolerates this kind of diversity, but actually embraces it.
Of course, yes, and we're stronger and better because of it.
Yeah.
Too. You can follow me on social media at Soup Ken Yeager, and also on Facebook and Twitter, and I know that you've done a lot of work on homelessness in San Francisco, and I know that's one of your issues here, and of course because of the passage of Measure A. So maybe talk a little bit more about that and what we're trying to do here to really help people who are homeless and give them permanent housing with social services.
Well, I think, San Francisco has had a housing crisis, and within that housing crisis, a homelessness crisis. And so, as a supervisor in San Francisco, I work to deal with a lot of those issues. We opened the first LGBTQ homelessness shelter in the country in my district. We provided services. We created the first navigation center. One of the reasons I came to Santa Clara County was because of the innovative way in which it's addressing the issue through Measure A. Because what it's doing is actually providing the more permanent solution to the issue of homelessness. What you see in places like San Francisco is more Band-Aids, shelters, when the reality is that the answer is permanent housing.
Right,
so
right.
with Measure A, we will be building permanent housing for, in fact, 4,800 units of permanent housing. That is the solution. That is the answer. And it's Santa Clara saying we don't want to just put a Band-Aid on it. We actually want to resolve it. We want to go to the root causes. And one of the things that we're doing as we do that is making sure that the systems that we have in place, whether it's the shelter system, whether it's the permanent housing system, is culturally competent. So because of the push from people like yourself and also Supervisor Chavez right now,
right.
we're looking to address the needs of the LGBTQ homeless population
right.
in Santa Clara County. As you know, because of your direction, we're working to open the first LGBTQ homeless shelter. But we don't want to just open up a shelter. We want to connect it to permanent supportive housing, and that's something that no other jurisdiction has done. So the idea that in Santa Clara you can have if you can be a homeless person who happens to be LGBTQ, know that not only are you going to have a bed, but that there is housing at the end of the rainbow, if you will.
Right.
And we're also looking to see how we also create a jobs program for members of that community.
Right, right.
And for the transgender community where the unemployment rate is 60-70%, creating a jobs program where that community can be empowered to provide services for itself is something that can be very meaningful and really can change the course of history for a lot of those folks in that community.
Sure.
So that's something that we're working on, but it's because of the leadership of people like you that we have the space to be able to do that here.
Sure. Well, what I found so gratifying about Measure A is it wasn't just an issue of the elected officials understanding the homeless issue and needing to have more programs. It was also the citizens. The fact that 2/3 voted in favor of it meant that we're really in sync with what our constituents feel is the right solution, as well as people that are serving in government, rather than one leading and nobody following. So it really was a great testament to all of the work that we're trying to do here, that people were willing to dip into their own wallet to be able to help pay for these services.
Forward thinking in a way that I was shocked, because we worked in San Francisco 2 years ago to pass a housing bond of $310 million, and I almost fell out of my chair when I learned that in Santa Clara it was more than 3 times that amount.
Right,
so
right,
thank you, residents of Santa Clara, because you are ahead of the curve.
We are. Well, I'm Santa Clara County Supervisor Ken Yeager, and here with Deputy County Executive David Campos. And it's really great that you're part of the team now. I know it's been about a month or 2 months that you've been here, and I know it's a very busy time, so we'll let you get back to your work. But thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Supervisor.
All right, thanks everyone.